So today we're going to be talking about maximizing ITOM value. And if you want to move us along to the next slide, Srinija, I'll cover the forward-looking statements. We always have to talk about this. If there's any comments made about upcoming features or functionalities in the product, they're not necessarily promises of a timeline or that they will actually come into the product. And so today we'll have our agenda here. We'll do our brief introductions. We'll go through our topics about how to maximize ITOM value. We'll talk a little bit about the new features that have been released in Yokohama, because I'm sure you're all eager to hear about those. And then we'll have some time for question and answers. And please feel free throughout the webinar to put your questions into the Q&A. I like to capture them there to make sure that we get them all. Sometimes if they go in the chat, they can get missed if the chat gets really busy, and we don't want to miss anybody's important questions. But also feel free to make comments in the chat and carry along with us. We want to make this really interactive. We got a few polls planned to keep it interactive, and just really looking forward to sharing some information with you all today. So can you go to the next slide, Srinija? Just so you know what we're going to talk about today, to make sure you're on the right webinar and you have the right expectations for what we'll be talking about today. We're going to be talking about how to maximize your ITOM value in our ServiceNow platform using key new product features, as well as existing ones, I would have to say. And then we'll go to the next slide. And we have a poll here. We always like to find out where folks are in their journey with the product that we're going to be talking about, just so that we can get a feel for where you are, and maybe if we need to emphasize certain points more than others or skip over some things. Because if we have a really advanced crew, we don't want to spend a lot of time on the less advanced things that we're talking about. But so far, it looks like we're coming in kind of in the middle here, with folks using some ITOM products, but looking to adopt further. We do have a few that have fully implemented and looking to maximize value. And we got a couple that aren't using anything, and one person who's just getting started. So I'll let this run a few more moments so you all have an opportunity to participate. But it looks like we're pretty much coming in right there in the middle. Some people have started to use some of the products, and others are just trying to get started. So before we go any further, we're going to do some quick introductions. I think most of you know me by now. I've been hosting these webinars for almost a year, these Ask the Experts, but I'm a 15-year veteran with ServiceNow, having spent about 10 years out in the field with customers and partners like yourselves, helping them implement our products. And then I moved into a team that was working on the Customer Success Center, where we wrote best practices. And more recently, I've been working with the community and helping customers with their adoption journey. Srinija, would you like to go next?
Yes, Britta, thank you for that. I'm Srinija. I'm a certified technical architect implementing ServiceNow projects since last 9 years with an expertise in ITOM and ITSM projects. And I currently work as a lead engineer at Assurant. I look forward for this webinar.
Oh, awesome. And Mary?
Yes. Hi, everyone. My name is Mary Vanatta, and of course, I'm here as ServiceNow as a principal ITOM portfolio manager. I work closely with the MPI GTM go-to-market outbound product managers here. And over the past 4 years, I've developed the Now Create content that many of you may use for your implementation. Prior to coming here, I was a consultant in the ecosystem, and I've been in the ecosystem about 10 years. And I started out as a customer.
Oh, awesome. All right, so now you know the depth of the experience you have here on this call today. And so without any further delay, I'll turn it over to Srinija to start sharing some of those juicy tidbits of knowledge.
Sure, Britta. So hello, everyone. Today we are going to discuss about maximizing ITOM value framework. As we can see on the screen, we have come up with this important key points that to consider while implementing ITOM projects that will help you to get some value. So the very first thing is to identify the key contacts and the stakeholders, have a conversations with them with the current challenges and problems, whatever they are facing. Once you have all these challenges listed out, it's important to align these challenges with the solutions in ServiceNow, how we can help them to avoid those in the future. And then once this alignment is completed, we are going to evaluate the critical CIs in the CMDB, like as a phase 1 and phase 2, that are really important to your organization. And once the critical analysis is done on the CI level, we are going to leverage out of the box features that will help you to get maximum value out of the ITOM module. And once we leverage this out of the box without heavy customizations, we are looking ahead and making sure to automate and scale the manual work. Every automation is an opportunity to avoid manual work. And once this automation and scaling is done, we would look into maintaining and the CMDB policy and documentation. Basically, in this section, we are going to discuss how do we maintain CI retention policies and how exactly the CI lifecycle management takes place in the CMDB. And we are also going to talk about how the documentation is going to help you to reduce the technical depths. And with the latest release of CSDM 5.0, it is going to help the organizations to combine the business and also the technical infrastructure together into one framework, provide value. And after that, we are going to look into the measure what it matters. We are going to look at the KPIs that are really important for your success, like user adoption, user experience, return of investment, how to reduce MTTR values. And most importantly, after implementing all these things, it's very important to think beyond IT. That will help you to scale further down to other departments like HR, customer service, and operations. And then now I will pass it on to Mary to highlight more about the key contacts.
So for any implementation to be successful, you will need to have leadership sponsor, even if it's a organization that is doing their own development. They're not having a major project. It's just maybe the event management team has decided to implement. Leadership sponsorship will assure that there's cross communication across the teams and provide resources around the stakeholders and organizational change management. So also you will need to have assigned product admins. Depending on the size of your organization, that could be an event management admin, or it could be a discovery admin. The most important are your technology subject matter experts for network, your database, cloud, ITSM, and ITOM process owners. Additionally, you're going to need to receive support from your CMDB manager and admin security teams to provide that access and control. And Srinija, if you'll talk about aligning our challenges with those solutions.
Yeah, as we develop and discuss about the challenges your organization is facing, we are going to have a list of challenges. As we can see on the screen, we have CSDM new terminology. A lot of people have a hard time understanding this CSDM new terminology. So we are going to help them with the real-time examples so that they can understand in a better way. And if you have third-party tools or manual imports into your CMDB without any proper IRE, we're going to suggest your organizations to leverage service graph connectors, forks to avoid that problem. And if there's any inaccurate CIs in the CMDB, it's all dependent on the CI data governance and data ownership. It's important to take data ownership on the CIs that are really valuable to you. And as we move on, it's important to evaluate the critical CIs. Organizations often start populating this CMDB It's definitely not all the CIs are not important to your organization. You have to have a list of CIs that are really critical to your organization that will help you to identify for incident change problem processes. As we can see on the screen, we have like servers, network gears, printers. These are really important as part of phase one, part of CIs. In the phase two, we can actually collect like application-based servers like AIX servers, Unix servers, database servers. And once we have or evaluated this critical CIs, there's an option in ServiceNow which will automatically make all these CI classes available to you for the incident change and problem processes, which is shown in the screenshot like principal CI class. Once you activate this, all the CIs will show up on your CIs in the CMDB. Next, yeah.
Let's discuss how using the ITOM products that we have, or a mix of them, can populate the CMDB to ultimately provide the information about your services and overall can reduce the mean time to resolve for your outages. We recommend the automated ITOM products like Discovery, Agent Client Collector, Service Graph Connectors to populate the CMDB to maximize your value. And we really want you to take that hybrid approach. Let's talk about those hybrid approaches on the next slide. So here we have a side-by-side comparison of ACCV as what we call Service Graph Connectors, SGC, and Discovery. The horizontal Discovery and ACC work together to get a full view of your IT estate. So the adoption of the Agent Client Collector increases. We see trends on how it's being used. So the truth is, most of our customers take a hybrid approach to better fit this need. And this is how you can maximize, your ITOM value is through a hybrid approach. So for end user compute devices, customers often will deploy ACC via their regular package distribution through SCCM, Tanium, BigFix, Jamf. And then for top critical applications, they will enable targeted horizontal discovery with pattern execution and top-down service mapping and other forms of mapping that have come out with machine learning. So for Oracle, such as Oracle Glass, they will require deep surgical discovery that's offered with probes and patterns. And I would mention that Service Graph Connectors also, if a customer has third-party apps, we're not asking that they get rid of them. We ask them that they can centralize some of the discovery of like their compute devices with Service Graph Connectors. So for cloud inventory, they may be just satisfied with a cloud discovery, but some go deeper using Service Graph Connectors as well. So others of our customers will embed Agent Client Collector in their base AMI golden image for increased visibility. And then on the cloud, but almost on some restricted networks, credential-based discovery is not an option. This is where Agent Client Collector can fill that gap. So some of our customers may choose to run both horizontal discovery and Agent Client Collector, but at different schedules, intervals for better performances and data refreshes.
And it's important to leverage out-of-the-box features.
So of course, it's time for
to
another poll.
Yeah.
So as we are transitioning to the ITOM workspaces, we're curious how many people are starting to use that. And we're really running neck and neck here, about 50-50 for each. Although, yes, just pulled ahead a little bit, 60-40. So that's encouraging. We're glad to see that because we would like to have you onto the most recent and most powerful part of the tools that we have in the platform. So yeah, it looks like we're still at a 60-40 split or so here, that most people are using the ITOM workspace. So that's awesome. And, we always encourage to try to use out-of-the-box features when you can to reduce your technical debt. So it looks like we've got most people have responded here, and we are at 59% yes using ITOM workspace and 41% no. So pretty darn close there.
Yeah, that's good to know.
Yeah.
Yeah. When we see ITOM workspaces, we have like Discovery Admin Workspace, CMDB Workspace, Service Mapping Workspace, and also Cloud Resources Workspace. All these workspaces fall under the ITOM workspace as a whole. And now we are going to take a look into the admin workspace. This will help you to manage and track all discoveries for your organizations at a single unified place. And the Discovery Admin Workspace will also help you as a central location for monitoring and tracking and completing discovery related data.
And the agent client collector is a push-based discovery via agents. We talked a little bit about the benefits and where you would use the agent client collector, but you can install them on Windows, Linux, Mac OS, a credentialless discovery that supplements the data collection pushed via the agent. Agent client collector framework is deployed on the customer ServiceNow instance. The agents are installed on the host machines and collect the data on the host and the configuration items. So agents, when they connect to the MID servers via HTTPS, and the MIDs will then connect to your ServiceNow instance. That data is collected and populated into the CI record for that device. Now, I'm sure a lot of you on the call are already familiar with this product, but using this again in lockstep with your service graph connectors, with your discovery, will actually maximize your and your customers' value. So we also want to talk a little bit about the service graph connector design and how that process works. So utilizing a third-party products that are customers own, or that that have been implemented by our customers, by following the guided setup to retrieve the configuration data for those devices. So the data retrieved runs through the robust transform engine and the identification and reconciliation agent, aka the IRE, to ensure duplicates CIs are not created. The configuration data for those devices are populated into your ServiceNow CMDB. So to keep track of those service graph connectors, we have just recently released the Service Graph Connectors Central within the CMDB workspace that will help manage all of those connectors in one central location. That right there is a maximization of our customers' time. Instead of going to multiple different tools, trying to aggregate the information about their different third-party tools in their environment, here they will be able to see it all in one space. So they will be able to search, download, and configure and manage all of their connectors. So next, Srini will demonstrate the discovery workspace.
So Srinija, if you go to audio,
Okay.
and you go to audio settings, sorry about this, folks.
Yeah.
There should be an option to stream through the computer.
Yeah.
Yeah, the sound's not coming through, but hopefully, folks, you can follow along. Sorry, we tried to do a
There's-
pre-recorded demo to make it smoother, and of course that didn't work.
I have it here, so if you guys want to share this screen with me, I will give you a quick demonstration. All right, can you all see my screen? Oh, here we go.
There we go.
All right, so here we have our new Discovery Admin Console. And if you look across the top, we have 6 areas where we can now see everything in one location. I know we have a guest on our call today who kindly was my mentor in doing my first discovery projects. So I'm thanking him publicly for the time he took to teach me how to go through and build schedules and do some actual implementations of the discovery product. So thank you for that. So here you won't see any schedules of populated if on your schedule you do not have the location. So one of the ways to maximize your value in ITOM is to make sure you have your schedules populated with the location. Once you populate the location, it will show up on that visual. You can drill down into all of your schedules. You can see the status of the schedules, whether they've been completed or canceled. You can drill into the discovery just like we've always been able to. It's just now in one central location. We have the diagnostics tab where you can see what has failed. You can create a task and assign that to your cloud team or to those network SMEs that I talked about earlier. I know a lot of the issues you have when you're doing a discovery is credentials. 95% of the issues is credentials. So you'll need to create a task and send it to those teams. From there, we now have where we can see any cases that have been created. You can drag and drop these little over into whether it's work in progress, it's closed or completed. Support tools, this is where we can migrate our cloud discovery from using cloud API REST calls, probes to pattern migration, detect frequently discovered CIs. Then we have our ECC queue. It's a much better look and feel, easier to navigate through. And then errors that we have chosen to ignore, any errors that kind of keep coming up and we don't need to track those. Next, we have our Content 360. This is a paid subscription. They can set this, the customer will need to choose to set this up. We have it in our Discovery Starter Story, so make sure not to assume that they don't want it, just make sure you're in your requirement gathering that you want it, whether if you are a customer on the call and you're an admin of Discovery, check into this. We have the ability to provide AI suggested application fingerprints, content service suggestions, and then insights. We can now dig into our data and identify trends to improve and optimize those operations. So we can look at Shazam insights, for example, and it will load all of the data around that. And of course, there's no scores here because this is a demo instance. And then tuning, we can check our health score. We can check the failed checks by priority, failed checks by category, and by the suite. And then we can look at our tuning around the mid server. So that does it for our demonstration of the Discovery Admin Workspace.
Thanks for sharing that, Mary.
Getting a lot of love on the chat for that one too. They really like it.
Let you take over the share.
And our other out-of-the-box features that will help us to maximize the value of ITOM is service mapping. And we do have service mapping workspace This is like a centralized location as well that will help you to see all the map services or to create a new service and also to monitor the services. It's very important to determine the approach for service mapping, as we have like different types of service mapping. Dynamic CI group and manual service mapping doesn't require license. And if we are planning to do cloud-based discovery via tags, then tag-based service mapping would be a good approach that fits there. And we do have like pattern-based traffic discovery, service mapping, and automated service suggestions using machine learning. These two go together, or they can also be implemented separately based on depending on your type of your applications. Most of the times for the mission critical applications, we use pattern based approach.
And I will tell you that the best thing you can do is to make sure you're keeping your CMDB CI class models, your discovery and service mapping patterns, and the service mapping plus plugins updated. I would definitely check monthly, if not quarterly. We do release quarterly from the ITOM product team. And so those don't always necessarily get advertised out. So we recommend you check the store and navigate. They always call check the store, but I like to really push within the new UI, navigate to admin and application center to check for those updates. So next, I think Srini was going to show you a process that will help make sure you don't miss getting those updates. If her demo is she can talk you through that.
Sound still isn't coming through.
Srini, if you have an instance up, maybe you can just walk them through.
I can just play this video and give a voiceover right now.
Okay.
Yeah. So oftentimes, one second, I'm hearing my own voice.
Don't want to hear the echo of your own voice.
Yeah.
Thanks for bearing with us, everybody. Sorry about this.
Sorry about that. Yeah. Oftentimes we don't get our plugins updated until we realize some of the features are missing in our environment. And then if we have to update our plugins, what we have done is we have done a script scan check, which basically scans all the store applications and creates an agile story in our instance for us to update the plugin via agile frameworks. As we can see on the screen, we have this store applications, and this is the script that will help us to do a scan check on this store app whenever the name contains like ITOM, and then it basically queries that whole table and tries to look if there's any plugin that is not updated in the most recent times. And then you can see right now there's no story created, but once I do the test check, and if we go to the results, we can see there's one plugin that needs to be updated. And if I go to stories and refresh my page, you can see a story has been created. This will basically help us to streamline our processes with Agile framework and to keep our plugins up to date. That way we get most value out of this out of the box features to maximize the value. And we do have event management integrations and automation that will help us to maximize the value and also help us to get to the self-healing mode of the automation process. And this is our event management process. In the service operations workspace, we have like integration launchpad that will get us the raw events from the events from a third-party tool, any monitoring tool it could be. And once we have these events flowing into ServiceNow, This events can be converted into an alert, and this alert can be converted into an alert automation using ignore, enrich, group automation, and also responding to the automation, whether to create any incidents or to run a playbook or to create an incident based out of this. And as we move on, we are going to talk about Service Operations Workspace. Service Operations Workspace is like a unified workspace that will help you to do multiple operations at a single place. For this presentation, we will be focusing more on integration launchpad and alert automations, as you can see here in the left nav. As we go on to the integration launchpad, this will help us to integrate all of our events into ServiceNow. As you can see on the screen, we have like browse integrations. This will have all the list of push and pull connectors, and we can also create a custom connector if required at this place. And as you can see just below it, there's also installed integrations. These are all the integrations that are configured on your instance that will help you to access very quickly. Like I mentioned, pull connectors will help you to get pull events from the external sources. Push connectors will push all the events into your ServiceNow instance. And for the custom connectors, if you have anything like a JSON format message, you can always create a custom connector based on that JSON message. And then you can map those fields in the ServiceNow all within this Service Operations Workspace. And once you have this events flowing into ServiceNow, there's an option within this Service Operations Workspace to optimize these events and alerts all at one place. As you can see on the top right, we can see there's an option to add automation. This add automation will help you to enrich the alerts, to add more field mapping values, or to tag the alerts to a certain value. And we can also reduce the noise of these alerts by ignoring the automation. As we can see on the screen, we have like alert automations of 4 different types. Ignoring is about reducing the noise. Enriching is adding more fields and also tags to the existing events or alerts. Grouping, it's all about grouping an alert based on any field values or text values. And in the respond, we can also create automations to create an KB article incident or to notify the end users.
So one thing that the product BU is really wanting to communicate out is we don't have to have a CMDB. Just don't let not having a CMDB or an unhealthy CMDB stop you from using event management. We have a non-code method of alert grouping without a CMDB. So tag-based clustering enables alert clustering. That said, we all know that if you do have a CMDB and it's healthy, of course, you're going to get better insights into your services and the CIs that support them. However, to get to time to value, to get those alerts turned into incidents, tag-based alert clustering will enable you to easily create that group of alerts. It's a non-code method that correlates the alerts without having to use that CMDB or any kind of model training. It allows the event management admin to define meaningful tags. 2 tags that we would recommend you want to start using is the location and assignment group and the application tags. So tagging certain alerts to a specific application or to a specific location or assignment group it's so much faster. I can't tell you when this came out, it made event management so much more easier to really go from 20 steps to setting it up to 10. I think Srini, you can testify as you went through the new process how much easier that was.
Yes, Mary. Yeah, it was super quick and easy to configure.
So the integration goes both ways, and this feature will allow you to notify those internal tools of the specific alerts to trigger remediation and notifications outside of ServiceNow. So you're going to need to define the criteria for those alerts that should trigger the outbound webhook, and then determine that payload data and header that's sent in the post request. So you just need to make sure you test the API call and see the result of the response. One of our newer features that's just been recently released is you can try out these features in subprod using real-time streaming from your production ServiceNow instance. You will need to set a syncing interval in the scheduled jobs, and then test and evaluate the event-related features without having to redeploy those connections in those subprod environments. So if you were implementing ServiceNow, a year ago, you're going to be doing it much differently today. So let's watch this demo by Srini to show you the new and recommended process to integrate with your monitoring sources.
Yeah, in this demo, we are going to look how the service operation workspace is going to work with integration launchpad. For this to work, we actually need to install the service operation workspace ITOM apps from the plugin store. And make sure this plugin is up to date. And for this integration to happen, we are actually connecting the Grafana tool with the integration launchpad. Right now, as you can see on the screen, we are hovering on to the service operations workspace. And we can see on our left side, we have integrations launchpad. Right here, I'm going to look for Grafana tool because I'm planning to integrate that with the push connector. And we can also see there are other push and pull connectors. And you can also create a custom connector using this same each. Right now I have choose Grafana as my connector.
So is this a normal load time that it takes a few moments?
No, actually, I don't know why it got stuck. Yeah, okay. Yeah. And you can see the URL is populated on this with this connector sysID. Now I'm going to activate this connector. Once the connector is activated, and we are going to create a user in ServiceNow. And this user should be only web service access only user. And the role it should have is event management integration role assigned to it for this to work. And once we have this URL endpoint created and user having the password ready, we are going to go into the Grafana tool. On this Grafana tool, we are going to create a contact point. And here we are going to give our integration as webhook. And we are also going to give contact points. And we are going to give the URL. And we are going to give the username and password for this integration to work. And we just have to save the contact point on Grafana tool. Just edit this endpoint and send a test alert. You can see the test alert has been sent into ServiceNow. Now, as a test alert has been sent into ServiceNow, we need not go into em_event table to look into the tables. All we can find those events at one place. In this installed integrations, we are going to go to the Grafana connector and look for the events here. And right here, you can see all the events and alerts are displayed associated with this Grafana connector. And you can also see there's an option that you can enrich this alert automation or ignore the automations. If I click on enriching the automation, if I have like Grafana test, the main, what exactly I wanted to do here is we have this additional info populated and we have this external URL information coming up here. What I wanted to do is I wanted to populate this external URL in my description field. So I have actually extracted the value from here, composer fields, updated this enrich alert automation, and you can see the description field is populated here. Isn't that cool to see an automation happening in few minutes? Everything at one place without switching to many tabs.
It looks like even I could do it, Srinija.
Yeah.
Funny you should say that. I make the joke that even my high school student could set up event management now.
Yeah.
Oh, that's nice.
And I will add that the now create content was updated in September with this new process. There is an implementation guide that kind of walks you through setting up either a custom connector, a pull connector, or push connector. And so make sure you're downloading our workshop deck and our implementation guide and our starter stories.
Then we are moving on to automation and scale. It's very important for us to automate the work instead of manual approach. Every manual process is an opportunity for automation. And as we can see on the screen, we have this digital transformation maturity model where the level one is reactive, responsive, intelligent, and self-healing. In the reactive stage, we actually have everything in a manual process where everyone needs to communicate manually. This is only 20% automated. So in order to reduce friction, we actually move on adopting automation tools that will only help us to work on few specific scenarios. And at this stage, we are mostly doing manual root cause analysis and we respond to the incidents after the incident has been created. And this is a 40% automated level. And as we move on to the intelligent level, right here, we adopt like one place platform to get all the things work at one place. Right here, we have like automated root cause analysis, and we also try to do catch and resolve issues before it creates an incident. And in this intelligent level, we have like 55% of our processes are automated. And as we move on to the self-healing, in this stage, we actually predict and prevent outages without an event converting into an incident. we are going to predict it very before it using the machine learning and the AI algorithms. At this level, we would say that the processes of your organization is 70% automated.
All right, so just out of curiosity, we'd like to know where you stand in that maturity journey for automating items. And we got somebody right out of the gate into reactive, which doesn't surprise me. We're hoping that as a result of some of the information you've gotten from this webinar, that you'll get to be able to move a little further along there. And also just a reminder, if you have questions, please post those in the Q&A, because we don't get to all the questions during the webinar. We'll definitely handle those after the fact with a short blog that we'll post with the recording and the deck. So it looks like we're still running hot and heavy on reactive as being the most popular response, which is not surprising and nothing to be ashamed of. I think that's why you all are here, because you want to get past that. All right, so without holding this up too much longer, we've got mostly reactive, a few in responsive, and one organization in intelligence. So that's awesome. I will turn it back over to you ladies for your additional topics.
Yeah, thanks for the poll, Britta. And like ITOM is definitely going to help you to, if you are in the reactive level, to help you to achieve into the intelligent and self-healing mode. Next is maintaining CMDB policy and documentation. Mary will help us with a little more insights in this area.
Yes, so new capabilities and use of these features are going to require new work processes. And in this fluid environment today where to innovate and move forward, we're starting to notice that documentation, process documentation, communication is severely lacking in a lot of organizations. So part of maximizing that value is done outside of the ServiceNow platform. Be sure to create and document processes like maintenance tasks, integration sources, and communicate the new processes. Operationalize by using a tagging strategy, maintain your mid servers, and utilize those workspaces. And then finally, governance, establish product ownership, create a RACI, and make sure you're aligned to the business objectives. Next, I'm going to talk about leveraging the common service data model. I know there's a big push for CSDM 5 documentation. Currently, we're only allowed to show you the base model is what I like to call it. We really want to ensure that the ITOM products maximizes the value by following this data model across the platform. So while other versions are released or being released, there is this basic model. Your business application, even if there's a label change of that table, that's still where the business applications go. Application service is already in the platform as a system instance. It was there as of the last release. So really all that's really changing is some of the labels and then the technical services being relabeled to technical management services. This shouldn't hold customers up from moving into this data model. It still all pretty much works the same, except there's an extension or a maturity. If you don't have the maturity and you're still struggling to get your foundational data in, CSDM 5 isn't going to make as much of a difference. So how does the CSDM and the CMDB and the ITOM products work together? The common data model ties together the technology layer using discovery, service mapping, agent, client, collector. Service mapping can provide context around the services that are provided, and the outcome is fully realized in other platform apps like enterprise architecture and digital portfolio management. I did see in the Q&A a question. If you have discovery and service graph connectors, how can you map all of these CIs and turn them into a service, tagging, those service approaches we've talked about. We don't recommend you try to manually map all of your CIs to services. There may be some use cases where if you have something that's pretty solid, you can say, yes, this service is tied to this IBM mainframe. But for the most part, tagging, automated service suggestions, and in the future, this is a forward-looking statement, we will have text to service, where if you purchase Now Assist, you'll be able to upload a diagram of what that service is supposed to look like, and it's going to help through our AI make those CIs and those services connect. So altogether, this is how you fully realize the outcome, is that tie back from the IT to the business through enterprise architecture and digital portfolio management is all visual. And I'd like to wrap up a circle around this and say all of that is being monitored by event management. Next, Srini is going to talk to us about measuring our KPIs.
Yeah, it's really important to know what it matters while measuring KPIs. For return of investments, if we have to get better return of investments, it all depends on better user experience and user adoption rates. Better user experience can be achieved through automating workflows and streamlining the workflows. For better user adoption rates, we definitely have to go via the workshop method to educate our internal teams and also introduce these new features in the operational processes so that the adoption rates can be increased. For return of investments, one more thing is very important is service delivery, how quickly the service is getting delivered and efficiently. For improving the MMTR values, we have to enhance the incident response workflow and also improve the knowledge management so that it automatically reduces the MTTR values to optimize the ITOM value framework. And lastly, most important, it's important to think beyond IT. When we say IT, it's mostly technical solutions. It's important for us to think in a different gear when we are trying to convert these technical solutions into strategy, operational, and customer centric. To drive digital transformation from reactive to self-healing process, and also to achieve like agile frameworks with the sprint methodology to achieve more, and also automating the routine tasks. And this will also help you to streamline your workflows. IT, it's not just about IT. You have to expand your services to HR, customer services, and operations. That way you can streamline all these business processes together. And in the customer-centric innovations, we have omni-channel support where you can access ServiceNow through mobile and also web pages, portal, anything. And we have to also leverage AI for Gen AI to predict what exactly we have to reduce a manual effort and also to predict the outages. That's all. All these framework will help you to achieve and maximize the value of ITOM as we discussed in this whole presentation.
All right, and we'll just take a last poll here. And while folks are responding to the poll, let's pick up some questions because we've only got about 3 minutes left here. Samaya asked, do you rely on ACC for discovering the secured networks in your environment or use other data sources? We do not have secured network in our environment where HD is not allowed due to security reasons, but getting the infra teams to install agents on those servers is not a smooth process for us.
So I'll answer that. That's where your service graph connectors can be helpful because you've got the tool there that's already gathering that information. But ultimately, yes, ACCV would be another option for those types of networks.
All right. And Alan, you had your hand up earlier. I'll take you off mute if you still had a question you wanted to ask. All right. And then Selba had also asked earlier if that tool that Srini was showing that was looking for the plugins was custom or not. And it is a custom capability that is part of Now Assist and Agentic AI.
I would answer that more clearly and
Sure.
say that it is a custom capability to have it create a story for that work to be performed. But you can also now consider creating a Now Assist skill using the Now Assist skill kit and Agentic AI to actually perform the actual task and turn it on for you. But that would, you want to take considerations into whether you want to turn a plug-in on in production or dev.
All right, and then there was another question from John earlier that Mary answered in the chat about having the capabilities discovery in the discovery workspace depending on the licensing that you have. And if you're unsure about your licensing, the best person to talk to is your account executive. They can help you with the information that you need. So it looks like people have definitely gotten some value out of the presentation. So great job, Mary and Srinija. I'll show you the results here. We have people showing that they definitely feel more confident about doing ITOM. And we want to thank you all so much for joining us. And thank you also for managing through our few little technical difficulties that we had. We apologize for that. But like I said in the chat, you'll be able to watch those demos with when you get to the deck later when I'll post that. And I've posted that link several times about where the deck and the recording will be. And also after this presentation, you'll immediately receive a survey. And I know a lot of us have survey fatigue because everybody's sending out surveys these days, but it's just 5 quick questions. And if you could let us know how we're doing, we would really appreciate that. And also it's your opportunity to let us know if there's additional topics that you'd like us to add to the Ask the Expert series. So please, give us that information, and we take, all feedback and try to act on it. So thank you all for joining today, and we're going to wrap it up now. So thanks everybody, and I hope you all have a great rest of your day.